This is Part 2, Episode 209. Who knew that the woman on the purple golden warship would laugh, regaining her composure and saying, "There naturally are. Am I not one myself?" She unexpectedly wasn't angered, her smile sweet. Immortal Dao aura appeared. "Together with that ice-cold woman behind you, that's just two," the divine striking stone said. Huolinga pinched Shahao's waist, saying with a suppressed voice, "This was all taught by you, right? What is this guilt you're placing on me? This fella was a good-for-nothing to begin with, has nothing to do with me." Shahao defended his innocence. "Why did I hear that you had previously shouted that among the ancient freaks, the men will all be suppressed and killed, while the women will all be captured to warm the bed? Moreover, you really are still doing things like this?" Huolinga said by his ears. "I indeed killed a few ancient kings, but I never captured one to warm the bed," Shahao said quietly, and then he said in a lowly manner, "How about you help me warm the bed tonight? Go die." Huolinga's pretty face flushed red, and then she said, "You didn't capture any to warm the bed, because there weren't many females among the ancient freaks to begin with, you didn't meet any." "Nonsense, isn't Dragon Girl a young lady? I've met her before," Shahao muttered. Others couldn't hear, but the 5 individuals on the warship's divine senses were powerful, completely able to hear their conversation through the symbols around them. In that instant, the 5 of them didn't know whether to laugh or cry, feeling a wave of speechlessness. "I heard that the first time you met Dragon Girl, it was in the vicious nest. Back then, you even caressed her butt," Huolinga said. Shahao began to sweat buckets, turning around and saying, "Which scoundrel is leaking secrets? I meant to say, which bastard is speaking nonsense?" He immediately looked at the divine striking stone, his expression unkind. "Don't look at me, it was the Emperor Butterfly that gave it away," the divine striking stone said. Shahao glared at it. This fella was definitely doing this on purpose. Was this basically proof? On the purple golden warship, the blue-eyed woman laughed, opening her mouth and saying, "The 9 heavens and 10 earths are boundless, not strange to see even the descendants of a true immortal. It is entirely possible for an immortal family's lady to be in the academy." She displayed what was like a smile yet not a smile, looking at Shahao and saying, "Do you dare catch them to warm the bed?" Shahao stared at her. This woman was definitely doing this on purpose, intentionally creating trouble for him. Sure enough, Huolinga reached out a dragon claw, clamping down on his waist, making him grimace. "Someone like you, even though your aptitude isn't bad, if you don't stay within your bounds after entering the heavenly deity institution, you'll definitely be beaten into a sorry state." There was an ice-cold woman on the warship. She was like a glacier, difficult to melt, but indeed exceptionally beautiful. Forgot the introductions. A true immortal has appeared precisely in this little sister's ancestors. The blue-eyed young lady introduced while laughing. "The 2 of you already have the qualifications, are you willing to proceed?" The purple-haired young man on the purple golden warship spoke, interrupting their chit-chat. "Where to?" Ning Chuan asked. "To see a few great figures. They have some words to speak to you all, perhaps even being able to pay your respects under them, becoming their disciples," Lin Qian said coldly. Even though he was defeated, he didn't dare treat this matter carelessly, because he was following orders to select candidates. "Fine, let's take a look then." Shahao nodded. "Please ascend the ship," someone said. Shahao waved his hand, sending the Tongbi divine ape out, saying to Lin Qian, "Returning to you." However, he put away the 5-colored war chariot, not acting polite at all. Then, he placed his arm around Huolinga's waist, bringing her onto the purple golden warship. Ning Chuan also ascended onto the ship. Below, everyone was startled and envious. They were going to become disciples of a master just like that, leaving the 3,000 provinces. This was too fast, completely different from what they had imagined. The warship left into the distance, instantly disappearing, penetrating the void. This place erupted with activity, the news as if they spread wings, flying in all directions, transmitting throughout the 3,000 provinces. Huang and Ning Chuan were selected, about to enter the heavenly deity institution, perhaps leaving this great world, shaking the world under the sky. On the warship, Hualinga felt rather uncomfortable, because the 5 of them looked at her, and then looked at Shahao, clearly disapproving of him bringing his significant other. However, the 5 of them didn't explicitly reject this. After who knew how much time had passed, they rushed into Central Province, arriving before a steep cliff, seeing 3 individuals. Those were 3 middle-aged men, these individuals like the unmatched supreme beings consecrated in temples, their appearances dignified, not moving at all, surrounded by chaotic energy, and wisps of immortal Tao energy. Shahao was immediately shaken. These great figures were definitely terrifying. "Are you 2 willing to take me as your master?" One of them spoke. "I already have a teacher." Shahao replied. "Wu." That person nodded, saying, "I know of you, related to that willow tree. I won't force you. This is definitely not a decision that can be made through force." His words left Shahao shocked, now more confident that he had to visit the world beyond, enter that heavenly deity institution, because he could understand willow deity through them. "Can I bring my family with me?" Shahao's skin was extremely thick, asking like this. The 3 great supreme beings' expressions were strange, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. In the 9 heavens and 10 earths, when the other heroic talents saw them, which one of them weren't watching their actions carefully? This fella actually dared to ask like this. "Do you think you are going on a scenic tour? You are going to cultivate a place that is incomparably dangerous, with layers upon layers of challenges, you yourself might not even be able to survive." One of them said. "Where are we going?" Shahao asked. "First, to understand the archaic contract of alliance, an ancient city. This is a test towards you too. Only after succeeding can you enter the unmatched academy." "What?" Shahao was shocked. He thought for a bit, now truly feeling like he had to proceed. If he continued down this path, many of the questions he had inside would obtain answers. "Where is that city?" Shahao asked. "Outside the 3,000 provinces, within the endless forbidden area." One of the middle-aged men spoke, his body seated on the cliff, grey Tao robe like steel, not moving with the wind. Even though he had long known about this, right now, Shahao still couldn't help but release a light sigh. Desolate border, archaic contract of alliance, all of the creatures of the last great era were defeated and destroyed, celestial clans, old master heading for the battlefield. When this series of events was strung up together, it made one feel especially serious. These places, these people and events, some of them were closely linked. Is this a path that must be taken? Ning Chuan spoke, his snow clothes perfect, silver like snow, face pretty to the extreme, making even women jealous. In reality, the blue-eyed woman and even the ice-cold woman couldn't help but give him a few looks along the way. For a man to have this type of appearance really was rare. Together with his exceptional aptitude, cultivation unordinary, it was difficult to avoid attention even if he wanted to. Even in the immortal Tao descendant families, not many young men with this type of temperament could be found. This path is essential, a type of trial, and even more so a type of experience, allowing you all to develop an initial understanding of what you will face, how cruel it will be. On the cliff, chaotic mists swept about. That voice was cold and emotionless. Ning Chuan didn't immediately speak, instead thinking to himself. The forbidden region was too vast, without limit, no end to be found. The 3,000 provinces were already large enough, but even the most optimistic estimations suggested that it wasn't even a tenth of the boundless forbidden region. It could be said that that place was deep and immeasurable. In reality, the terror of that place was something everyone knew well since the past. From past to present, experts walked inside one after another, but in the end, most of them did not return, many old sect masters included among them, all of them individuals with great cultivations and achievements. "Senior, isn't this a bit forceful? It is so dangerous there, we aren't even in the heavenly deity realm yet. If we continue like this, isn't it just sending ourselves to death?" Ning Chuan said. Even though quite a few experts died, there were a few who came out alive. "You all should know this," a middle-aged individual on the cliff said. In that forbidden region, it wasn't living creatures that were the most terrifying, but rather the mysterious substances, for example, the pool of yellow mud that could instantly melt a sect master, a drop of bright and multicolored strange dewdrop ending the life of an extremely powerful expert, an ordinary piece of dried grass releasing exceptional sword energy, cutting down the stars. 90% of the sect masters who entered died under these types of matter, and not in the hands of living creatures. Whether oneself is powerful enough or not is not the deciding factor of whether one lives or not. This is because there are some things which, even for sect masters, caused accidents, powerless to face. His intention was clear. The level of one's cultivation didn't display conclusive effects, because there were too many dangerous elements. They couldn't be stopped even with the cultivation of sect masters. That was why, from a certain standpoint, this generation's young supreme beings and older generation sect masters were setting out from the same starting line. Meanwhile, the more one learned about the situation, the more fear one felt. One could see just how dangerous that place was. There were layers upon layers of danger, seizing the lives of heroes at every turn. Senior, isn't this going just a bit too far? We are clearly being sent to our deaths. I know this heaven and earth will perhaps be engulfed in the flames of war, be thrown into chaos, but doing things like this isn't nurturing experts, but instead wasting and exhausting heroic talents. Shahao said. On the cliff, inside the primal chaos, that third person laughed, a bit cold and bleak. His rigid face displayed a rare bit of emotion. You seem to know quite a bit. Indeed, flames of war will cover the world, everything entering chaos. That will be an unimaginable great calamity. Then, he released a light sigh, the cliff becoming more and more indistinct. The three of them seemed to be immersed in a downcast mood. You all don't understand how miserable it truly will be when the battle breaks out. Even such a powerful group of creatures from the last great era were wiped out, let alone this world. They didn't hide anything, directly speaking about all types of miserable and hope-lacking reality. In our eyes, instead of fostering 10,000 bugs, it is better to create a dragon. This type of speech was straight to the point, carrying bloodiness, clearly telling the two that what they wanted were unmatched experts, that they wouldn't create a group of so-called geniuses in a routine manner. Entering the heavenly deity institution will inevitably be a bloody process. Anything could happen. They needed matchless figures who could turn the battle situation around with a single fight, not raising them through normal means. It was because even those from the last great era had been defeated, with several dozen immortals killed, leaving everyone in despair. Normal powerful geniuses couldn't resist the enemy at all. Only the new, something that shocks past and present, the most powerful individual could fight there. Shahao and Ning Chuan both weren't ordinary, not needing them to speak in detail to understand a lot. This world didn't lack geniuses. What the heavenly deity institution needed were unpredictable variables, supreme beings that couldn't be assessed through normal means. To face the future like this, just how pessimistic was the situation? Is this the case for those chosen in other ancient lands as well? Ning Chuan asked. His birth was unordinary, he wouldn't randomly throw himself into danger. As long as he grew up normally, he could overlook everything below the sky. The 9 heavens 10 earths, the selections of heroes throughout these ancient lands are all extremely strict, to the extent where there are some places where it is even more cruel. The individual on the cliff gave this answer. This was implying that when dealing with the 3,000 Dao provinces, they were already loosening the standard a bit. After all, this place has traces of battle, the sealed ancient path most abnormal, which is why it greatly affected the circumstances for fostering talents, causing the heroes here to be fewer. As such, the standard has been loosened appropriately. Another added. I still feel as if something isn't quite right. Making a trip through the uninhabited region, what one will have to rely on isn't strength but luck. If a few geniuses died tragically because of it, it wouldn't be worth it at all. Ning Chuan said. If they truly ended up running into that mud of inevitable death, then he really didn't wish to go inside. We won't force you two to send yourselves to death either. There is a path that is extremely ancient and bleak, leading to a city inside the Forbidden Region's depths, this road comparatively calmer. You two can borrow that path to head there. One individual on the cliff said. Why must we use this path as the test? Ning Chuan asked a step further. to allow you two to understand what kind of terror and dangers you will face in the future. The things in the forbidden region will reappear when the world is covered in flames. A middle-aged man on the cliff revealed. What? These words left Ning Chuan and Shahao shaken, feeling extremely shocked. All right, whether you are willing to take that path or not, that is for you two to decide yourselves. These 9 heavens 10 earths truly don't lack geniuses. There are quite a few young supreme beings who have successfully passed the trial. All right, I'll give this so-called forbidden region a look, see what it has inside. Shahao nodded. He was going to make a trip inside. It was because he had many questions inside, for example, regarding Willow Deity, Desolate Border, the archaic contract of alliance, and others. They were all things he had to search for the answer himself. He had asked those 3 before as well, but he was only met with silence, telling him to search for it himself. What kind of education can be obtained by entering the Heavenly Deity institution? Ning Chuan asked. All types of ancient texts, supreme being precious techniques, even the letters of long-life individuals. There are even immortal caves to use for seclusion, as well as cultivation methods that don't belong to this great era. There might even be descendants of true immortals to exchange pointers with. He spoke about so many benefits in one go, every one of them enough to make one moved, all of them exceptional natural luck. Not far out, the blue-pupiled woman's exceptional appearance revealed a smile, winking at Shahao and saying, "There are true fairies, you know. You can catch them to warm the bed." Shahao was extremely embarrassed, and then Hualinga pinched him again. "Let me give you a word of advice. If you don't wish to be beaten until you have to run while covering your head, then you should understand propriety after entering the Heavenly Deity institution." That ice-cold woman spoke. She had icy skin and jade bones, her style unmatched. Shahao looked over and said, "How about we exchange pointers for a bit, see if I can capture you two to make the bed and pour water." On the cliff, the 3 middle-aged men didn't move, extremely still. On the purple golden warship, the 3 young men revealed strange looks. As for the 2 women, they both looked towards Shahao, their expressions completely different. The blue-pupiled woman laughed, as if autumn winds blew past tender willow leaves, while the woman with the ice-cold temperament was like a plum flower in the middle of winter, chilly energy spreading over as she looked at Shahao, simply about to freeze him over. "You two can go make your preparations," a middle-aged man on the steep cliff said. "We'll send you 2 back." On the purple golden warship, the 5 young men and women separated into 2 groups. The 3 males sent off Ning Chuan, while the 2 females saw Shahao off. It was clear that they knew 6 Crown King and Huang had grudges, not wishing for them to engage in conflict now, with the 2 sides unable to coexist. After heading on their way, the blue-pupiled woman and ice-cold fairy both looked at Shahao as they rode on a silver warship. "Why is it you two that are seeing me off? Could it be that you two really are going to exchange pointers with me? Let's get this straight. There's no need to lose on purpose if you really wish to pour tea and warm the bed by my side, because there's no hope of you two winning at all," Shahao said. He already saw that these 2 women wished to take action along the way, which was why his mouth was especially lowly. "Do you think you are all that because you cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy? Before immortal methods, everything can be destroyed," the cold young lady whose beauty could topple countries said. "Truly an immortal's descendant. A true fairy." Shahao looked at her, and then revealed a look of joy, saying, "I haven't captured this type of fatty yet. Thanks a bunch for satisfying my dreams." That young lady's beautiful eyebrows stood vertically, immortal Dao aura fully displayed, white mists pervading the air, becoming more and more cold, as if the lunar goddess descended. That blue-pupiled woman was laughing until she was swaying to and fro, completely disregarding her appearance. "You have no shame in even calling this type of graceful and refined fairy a fatty. You all are not permitted to take action." In the distance, the 3 great supreme beings' voices sounded. "He, if you don't end up inside the Heavenly Deity institution, then forget it. But if you do enter, there'll be quite the play to watch. The 9 heavens 10 earths have countless geniuses, more than enough for you to play with, all just waiting for you," the blue-pupiled young lady said. On the cliff, the three middle-aged men sighed. Perhaps we should relax the restrictions a bit further, not necessarily only granting qualifications to those with immortal energy. There were quite a few supreme beings from the past until now who took some time to develop, only displaying brilliance after hundreds to over 1,000 years. All right, then we'll cater towards all of the young experts, not adding any restrictions. As long as they could reach that ancient city, then we'll consider it a success, having the qualifications to leave this place and enter the heavenly deity institution. The three of them came to this decision. On the silver warship, Hualinga was worried, not wishing for Shahao to leave, because this path was too dangerous, 9 deaths 1 life. Meanwhile, she couldn't stay at his side. Her large eyes were entirely red, asking Shahao, "Where are you going now? What kind of preparations are you making?" "Preparing for marriage." The word marriage was actually spoken so openly by Shahao. When Hualinga heard this, her face became completely red. She stared at him, always feeling like this fella became more and more unbridled recently. Only, when she thought about how they were going to separate again, she sighed, not saying anything back. Her eyes became filled with watery mist, looking blurry. They were going to have to separate again, while this time, Shahao was going even further, heading into the depths of the forbidden region, heading far away from the 3,000 provinces, his journey incredibly dangerous. If he ended up making it back alive, Shahao was going to leave this place and head for the world beyond. It was unknown how long this separation would be. When she thought about these things, Hualinga felt extremely emotional. She had a feeling that after this separation, the next time they meet might seem like forever away, unknown when they'll meet again. "You have to be careful," she said softly yet firmly. It was because the forbidden region was too dangerous, even sect masters having a chance of dying after entering, let alone someone like Shahao. This was a road of life and death, a path that once taken, he could not turn around, whether he would even make it out alive difficult to say. "Don't worry, no one can kill me. I am quite looking forward to that forbidden region though, who knows, I might discover a few immortal birds and auspicious beasts, and bring one back to serve as your mount," Shahao said while laughing. He was always cheerful, and also quite self-confident, not taking the dangers ahead to heart. When the blue-pupiled woman heard this, she smiled, her skin not thin at this time either, giggling as she said, "How about you gift me one too?" "That's a gift for my wife, are you my wife?" Shahao asked in a rather lively manner. "Youngstersha, offending older sister like this, aren't you scared that I'll find people to tidy you up after you enter the heavenly deity institution?" The blue-pupiled young lady said. "Send your army this way, I'll subdue them one by one." Shahao laughed loudly. "Fine, you can act as egotistical and unbridled as you want. When the time comes, I will definitely show you special treatment, find a few sisters to properly take care of you." The blue-pupiled woman revealed a smile, but no matter how one looked at it, it seemed a bit sinister. "Really looking forward to it. What kind of backgrounds do those sisters have?" Shahao laughed in a lowly manner. "The daughter of emperors, descendants of long-life beings, and true fairies. I just fear that you'll turn around and run when the time comes, not daring to entertain them." The blue-pupiled woman giggled. "He won't be able to run, definitely be immediately suppressed," that ice-cold woman said. "All right, then you all just wait to welcome this majesty. I will definitely enter the heavenly deity institution, wait for you all to look after me." Shahao laughed rather brashly. That ice beauty glared at him, while the blue-pupiled young lady was still giggling, saying, "Even daring to exchange your words, sure, when the time comes, don't come crying now. Let's see how you do." Soon after, they left Central Province. Following Shahao's needs, after traveling several hundred provinces, the silver warship stopped. "We'll meet again at the heavenly institution." Shahao waved his hand, and then brought Hualinga off the warship. "Where are we going?" Hualinga asked. Just now when she saw Shahao and the two girls bicker, she only smiled, not saying anything. "To Demon Province to meet my grandfather." Demon Province, a place that was previously ravaged by the chaos of war. Many great demons appeared in the ancient years, obtaining their reputation precisely in this province. In reality, it was rumored that this place had immortal ancient great era's remains, previously a place where the great battles were incomparably bitter. There were remains of demons with evil energy. This was the first time Shahao brought someone with him, as well as the first time he brought over a young lady to see his grandfather. Grandpa 15 had long sensed him, flying out from a volcano, his black hair scattering about. His figure was tall and large, extremely bold and powerful. Right now, his blood energy was flourishing, his bronze skin flickering with precious light, his outer appearance only looking around 30 or 40. How? Grandpa. They met each other not long ago, not much time had passed since their last meeting. The grandfather and grandson were both extremely happy. Who is this girl, could it be? The great demonic god looked at Hualinga, revealing a smile, laughing loudly. Grandfather, this is my wife, I brought her here to show you. Shahao's skin was always extremely thick, his face not carrying redness, eyes not blinking as he said this. Hualinga truly couldn't take it. Was there this type of introduction? This was the first time she was meeting Grandpa 15, yet she was already completely red-faced. This girl is quite excellent, and if you like her, then Grandpa naturally supports you. Grandpa 15 said, his face all smiles. I heard about Grandpa 15 previously. Hualinga greeted seriously. She had previously heard of Grandpa 15's great reputation in the lower realm, and even more so learning about how he threw the imperial capital into chaos for his grandson, suppressing enemies on all sides. Towards this elder, she was full of admiration. Fire Emperor's daughter. When the great demonic god learned of her origins, he immediately roared with laughter. Fire Emperor was, in the end, a hero in his generation in the lower realm, an extraordinary individual. Grandpa 15 had naturally met the Fire Emperor before. Now that he saw his daughter, he was extremely satisfied. Aside from his admiration towards the Fire Emperor, it was also because they both came from the lower realm, both of them viewed as sinners' blood descendants. There's no need to speak too much, we're family now. Grandpa 15 laughed joyously, feeling extremely happy. Grandpa 15 was overjoyed, continuously patting Shahao's shoulder, having him prepare some heavenly deity meat and fine wine. They were going to drink their fill today. When they left last time, Shahao left Grandpa 15 with quite a bit of heavenly deity meat, for example, flood dragon, dragon sparrow, golden crane, and others, everything that should be there was there, as well as a bit of sacred wine. Soon after, the golden crane in the cauldron was already cooked, the dragon sparrow wing also finished roasting. Even the fragrance of holy medicine wine floated about. How about I hold the marriage for you two today? When he was half drunk, Grandpa 15 said this. Hualinga immediately lowered her head. This was just too rushed. Even though they had to worry about separating, mentioning it like this was still too abrupt. Grandpa, there's one thing I haven't spoken to you about yet. I am going to take a special cultivation path and leave for a long time. With the future hard to predict, this isn't a good time to talk about those things. Shahao said. He secretly told his grandfather that the path was extremely difficult, life and death difficult to predict. With his departure imminent, he didn't wish to wrong Hualinga. What if he couldn't return? When Hualinga's embarrassment was gone, she also felt rather frustrated and disappointed. Were they going to separate just like that? The road ahead was boundless, when were they going to meet again? Grandpa 15 was a smart person, knowing that he couldn't stop his grandson. That was his path, so he couldn't randomly hold a wedding, because if anything unexpected happened to his grandson, wouldn't that be wronging the young lady before him? Shahao stayed with his grandfather here for 2 days, and then he left. Hualinga sighed, feeling emotional. Where do you want to go? I'll bring you there. Shahao said, putting aside his carefree and frivolous attitude, now serious. It was because he was going to leave soon. You are leaving again. In the higher realms, this boundless world, I only have father and you to rely on, and now, you are leaving again. Hualinga was dejected, clearly distressed. She came from the lower realm, and now, she was no longer the princess of a country. In the past few years, she lived in the Fire Mulberry Forest, wearing rough hemp clothes, quietly waiting for a single person to come back. She was completely isolated from this world. Now, an extremely important person was going to leave, filling her with sadness. If I can come back alive, I will definitely come looking for you. Shahao said. They said that there will be great chaos in the future. Is that true? Huolinga looked at him. If the day came when heaven and earth collapsed, chaos engulfing the world, would they be able to meet again? At that time, where would the two of them be? If that day truly comes, no matter where I am, I will return to protect you. Shahao made this vow, his voice resounding, ringing like a divine sword. I just want you to be safe, Huolinga said while carrying tears. She was extremely lonely in the higher realms, not wishing for this important person of hers to leave. I will return. No one can kill me. Shahao said. He was going to see her off, asking her where she wished to go. Huolinga remained silent, her expression blank. Where was she supposed to go? Where was her home? Shahao sent her to Xin province, arriving at Fire Emperor's place of seclusion, wishing for her to stay here and wait for Fire Emperor to return. However, Huolinga shook her head, her eyes full of tears, reluctant to part and full of sadness. She insisted on sending him off, wishing to see him enter the uninhabited region's depths. It's too dangerous. I won't feel at ease if you have to return on your own. Shahao didn't agree. Just stay here, Fire Emperor will return sooner or later, stay with him. Shahao said, and then he looked at Little Wolf, saying, work hard and cultivate, protect Linga well. Shahao stopped here for 2 days. In the end, he had to leave. Just send me to the Fire Mulberry Forest. I want to live there in seclusion. Huolinga suddenly said, wishing to live in that peaceful and tranquil Fire Mulberry Forest. Shahao's mind was immediately shaken, a feeling that was difficult to describe welling up. The Fire Mulberry flowers were blossoming, everywhere scarlet red. They came here again. A cool breeze blew past, the Fire Mulberry trees stretching as far as the eyes could see swayed about. Red gemstone-like flowers fluttered down, clear fragrance wafting out. In that forest, the fiery red flower petals appeared in large amounts, fluttering all over the skies like a fleeting sunset glow. I really like this place, Huolinga said softly. She looked at the fiery red ancient trees, and the mulberry leaf-picking girls. Her heart seemed to have calmed down again. It was because she had memories here, a place of longing and hope. She had previously waited for a person here. It allowed her heart to calm down and feel content. She never felt that she would return after just leaving this place. This time, compared to the last, was even more unknown. Shahao's life or death was difficult to say. Even if he lived, he was still going to leave this world. Huolinga was disappointed and frustrated, her mind at a loss. When they met again, it really was unknown how many years would have passed. At that time, the entire world would already be in disorder, flames of war everywhere. Would they even be able to meet again? This reunion, even though it brought her joy, making her feel blessed by heaven, the next time seemed so far away. She knew that in the future, many heroes of this world would wither away, blood-dyeing mountains and rivers. In those warring years, everything was unknown. It was hard for Shahao to turn back, he had to fight. They were going to separate. Shahao looked at her silently, not knowing what to say. The fire mulberry flowers have bloomed. Year after year, I've waited for your return here. Huolinga said softly, looking at him, her eyes about to see him off into the distance. Only, she had a feeling that after this separation, it might very well be forever. This video will end here.